I'm here to help. Don't eat the help.
Tyrion Lannister walked into a pitch-black crypt to free 2 starving dragons. He didn't bring a torch, or a weapon, or a single guard to stand behind him. Just a small man and 2 creatures that have burned grown soldiers alive for getting too close. By every rule this world has ever built, he should have been a pile of ash before he got near them. He wasn't. Not a scratch, not a warning, nothing. People treat this scene as a sweet little character moment. The clever dwarf talks his way past the monsters. Cute. But if you actually understand how dragons work in this world, that scene isn't cute at all. It's a confession. Maybe the single biggest secret the show left hiding in plain sight for 8 straight seasons. In the world of Westeros, dragons are not animals you befriend. They are the most dangerous creatures alive, intelligent, volatile, and completely merciless to strangers. For thousands of years, there was exactly one kind of person who could walk up to a dragon and live. Someone carrying the blood of old Valyria, the blood of the Dragon Lords, the blood of House Targaryen. That's not a fan rule. That's the law the entire history of this world runs on. And this is the rule that breaks the whole thing open. You cannot fake it. In the books, during the Great Targaryen Civil War, one side ran out of riders, so they made a desperate gamble. They called for ordinary people who might have a single drop of Targaryen blood hidden somewhere in their family tree, and sent them up to bond with wild, riderless dragons. The ones who had the blood, even watered down to almost nothing, lived. The ones who didn't were burned down to bone in seconds. Either the blood is there, or it isn't. The dragon decides. And nobody has ever talked their way around it. So keep that in the back of your mind. Across all 8 seasons, how many people are ever shown safely touching, calming, or riding a living, grown dragon? 3. Daenerys Targaryen, Jon Snow, who turns out to be a hidden Targaryen, and Tyrion Lannister. 2 of those 3 are confirmed, by blood, to be Targaryens, which leaves one very uncomfortable question hanging over the third. What exactly is Tyrion?
Daenerys is the Dragon Queen.
Go back to Season 6. Daenerys is gone. Her 2 dragons, Rhaegal and Viserion, are chained in the dark beneath Meereen, starving, refusing to eat. Everyone is too terrified to go near them. Tyrion decides to free them himself. When he steps into that blackness, the dragons are hostile, coiled, ready to kill. And then Tyrion does the strangest thing. He doesn't run, and he doesn't beg. He starts talking, softly.
I begged him for one of you. Everyone laughed, like it was the funniest thing they'd ever heard.
He tells them about how, when he was a little boy, he asked for a dragon of his own for his name day, and the whole table laughed at him. And the dragons go quiet. They calm down. They let him walk right up to them. They let him put his hands on their faces. And then they lower their heads and crane their necks forward, so he can reach the heavy iron collars and pull them off. And then there's the detail that should make the hair on your arm stand up. In George R.R. Martin's books, another man tries to approach these exact same chained dragons. His name is Quentyn Martell. He's brave, he's determined, and he's certain he can tame one of them. Rhaegal burns him alive. Same dragons, same dungeon, same chains. One man is incinerated for getting too close. The other one gets to pet them, tell them a bedtime story, and walk out without a mark on him. The only difference between those 2 men is blood. If that were the only clue, you could call it luck. It isn't even close to the only clue. Start with Tywin Lannister, the most powerful man in Westeros, and he despised his youngest son with an intensity that never quite added up.
You who killed your mother to come into the world?
Officially, it was grief. Tyrion's birth killed his beloved wife, Joanna. But listen to the actual words the man chooses when he's angry. When Tyrion stands in front of his father and demands his birthright,
The right to bear my name and display my colours, since I cannot prove that you are not mine.
Tywin refuses and says something that should stop you cold. He says men's laws give Tyrion the right to carry the Lannister name, since I cannot prove that you are not mine. Think about what he's actually admitting there. That's not a standard Tywin Lannister insult. That's a broken man confessing he could never actually prove the boy wasn't a bastard. And then there's the ending. With a crossbow pointed at his chest, in the last seconds of his life,
"You're no son of mine."
Tywin's final words to Tyrion are, "You are no son of mine." We all heard it as one more cruel goodbye. But what if it wasn't a goodbye at all? What if it was a confession? The agonizing truth he had choked on for 40 years finally spat out in the dark at the one person who deserved to hear it.
I have always been your son.
Which leaves the only question that actually matters. If Tyrion was never Tywin's son, then whose son is he? The answer is darker than you think. If you're a fan of these deep lore mysteries, hit subscribe and drop the word blood in the comments. Only one man ever managed to break Tywin Lannister's pride, the Mad King. Aerys Targaryen. Aerys wanted Joanna, Tywin's Joanna, and he was a king, so he never once felt the need to hide it. On the night Tywin married her, the proudest day of the proudest man in the world, the king put his hands on Joanna in front of the entire court, and he was overheard, out loud, complaining that the crown had lost its old right to take a bride to its own bed on her wedding night. He wasn't making a joke. He was openly mourning a law that would have let him have her first. Imagine the psychological damage of that. The proudest, most lethal man in Westeros, forced to stand frozen on his own wedding night, smiling through clenched teeth, while a madman openly grieves that he isn't allowed to violate the woman he loves. And Tywin can do nothing, say nothing, because the monster doing it wears a crown. That is not a humiliation a man like Tywin survives clean. It doesn't fade, it rots, it sits inside a proud man for years and turns black. And then Joanna gave birth, and what she died to bring into the world was not a Lannister. The hair wasn't gold, it came in black, streaked with pale, silver blonde, the one color in the whole world that means dragon. The eyes didn't even match, one green, one black, the exact mark of a Targaryen bastard born generations before him. Joanna was gone, and into Tywin's arms, while she was still warm, they placed a small, silver-haired, broken thing that looked more and more, with every single year, like the king who tormented him.
You are an ill-made, spiteful little creature.
That's the secret. Tywin never hated a dwarf. He hated a living, breathing reminder of the man who took his wife, and he was forced to raise it, feed it, and call it his name. But here's where it stops being palace gossip and starts feeling like something closer to magic. In this world, the blood of the dragon is never given for free. It is bought, and it is always paid for with the same terrible currency, a mother's life, traded for the child who carries the fire. Look at the three the dragons actually answer to. Not one of them was ever held by the woman who made them. Daenerys took her first breath in the exact moment her mother took her last. Jon Snow came screaming into a tower thick with blood, his mother already slipping away before he had a name. And Tyrion entered the world the same way Joanna left it. 3 children of the dragon, the same impossible price, paid 3 times over, in the same blood. That is not a writer being careless. That is a toll being collected, and it lines up with the oldest Targaryen prophecy there is, the one stitched into their own banner. The dragon has 3 heads, 3 riders, 3 of the blood, born to take 3 dragons into the dark together. If Daenerys is the first head and Jon is the second, then the story has spent 8 long years quietly drawing the outline of a third. A clever outsider who was one of them the whole time. Someone 2 starving dragons in a black dungeon recognized as kin, before a single living soul in the story had the faintest idea. Now, I'll be straight with you. The show never said the words. The final season was rushed, it dodged the reveal, and you can argue the theory died unfinished. But unfinished is not the same as wrong, because every piece of evidence is right where they abandoned it. Tywin's desperate denials, a mad king's fixation, and that impossible silver hair on a Lannister's head. It's a pattern paid for by 3 dead mothers, and it points straight back to the same prophecy. And one last image nobody ever bothered to explain. A man, his own father, swore was no son of his. A man the whole world had already written off as a monster, some cursed little imp they wanted kept out of sight. And he walked alone into the black, toward two creatures that kill men just for getting close. And the creatures lowered their heads. The world that made him spent 40 years calling him a monster. It took real monsters to look at him and recognize a king.